Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Lager here representing Team JVS. I'm back here again for another movie review. The name of this movie is called Another Round. The synopsis reads, four friends, all high school teachers, test a theory that they will improve their lives by maintaining a constant level of alcohol in their blood, or the amount that's supposedly 0.05%. Now, this is starring Mads Mikkelsen. This also got Thomas Larson. Both Mads and him were in another film by the same director called The Hunt. Thomas Vinterberg, I apologize if I get the last name wrong. The Hunt was a very abstract and think processing film because you don't know what went down. You do know that things were implied, that you had no real clue of the ramifications of what actually happened. This film takes that same approach, especially towards the second and third acts of where the characters are going or where they could go, but they leave some very different levels to it. Because in all honesty, the character Martin, who's the main character, he is a history teacher. Like, he is a straight arrow, like he's got two sons, a wife, but even when you're kind of looking at him interacting with his wife, they don't really interact. The sons kind of, go and leave, and he seems like he's a straight arrow. Like, it's like he's working to live, and then he goes back home, does what he needs to do, but he doesn't seem happy. Nobody really seems happy in his household. Then he's got a couple other friends, and I'll make sure I get their names right. Nikolaj and Peter. And I think, is it Peter? No, it's Nikolaj that has the wife and multiple young children, and then Peter is the one that lives alone, but also is dealing. He's kind of a different teacher where he's kind of working on a different program. Either way, Martin goes one night and goes and sees his friends, and they all have a drink, and he just doesn't drink. And they started to kind of pose him this idea or this perspective of these different influential people, in history that have, a peculiarity of drinking, and it kind of evened them out. Even some of the most, historic figures have been implied to have done the same. And so they were like, well, what more do you have to lose? Like, right now, things aren't getting better. Your students aren't listening to you. Matter of fact, the students are bombarding him, saying that they need to pass and they don't have an option. The teachers literally had a faculty meeting, and they brought all the freaking students' parents to him just to let him deal with it. And I was kind of like, this man is about to pop. And so then they proceed down this theory where they start to test the limits of what this looks like, and then starting to push their bodies to certain limitations of alcohol. And it's weird. So the way that this film is shot very well. It feels very natural. It feels like sometimes it's like kind of like a documentary kind of style. But at the same time, under the surface, there are certain caveats to each character that you see like, oh man, this is a weak spot right here. And I think that the director and also the scripting is able to capitalize on that and pay it off in full towards the end of the film. And I think that the way that the imagery works, it kind of leads you feeling this impending danger of them as men, as them as fathers, them as teachers, where the implications of where things could really go. There's one of the teachers, and Tommy, he's a soccer coach. And like when he starts to go and drink, like he doesn't have much time to do it. So he's sitting there doing it on a soccer field where he's a whole bunch of kids. And I was like, what happens, if, there's so many different ways that things could go wrong. And honestly, things do go wrong. Things do get hard. Things do take a turn for the worse. But the thing about it, and I normally don't go this route when it comes to film. I normally go and just kind of dissect the cinematography, the acting, and then the story. But I got to lead into the story because just much like The Hunt, it makes you question whether or not the methodology behind what they were really doing and what they were trying to do, attempting to do, did it have the actual results that they were looking for? Because it's kind of like, I question, because some of the a big bulk of the characters, things go south in the worst way possible. But the people that they were trying to reach, whether it was their families, whether it was the students, whether it was their status, you know, they see change happening. It's just, is it worth it? Was it justifiable? Was this something that needed to lead them to this route? And I think that question, it never effectively gets answered. And I actually really love that. As far as the actual film, like, there's a scene in the very last 10 minutes of the film that not only is choreographed beautifully and acted very well, it was performed very well, it leaves you wondering so much. And you know, if you wanted a closed bookend film, this is not that. This makes you think, well, where is this really gonna go? You know, and again, so I'm gonna start going backtrack because the performances were really good, specifically from Mads Mikkelsen, and also specifically from the character Tommy, that's played by Thomas Bo Larsen. Matter of fact, all the men, all four of the gentlemen do a really good job, especially with their chemistry. Their chemistry is impeccable, and it's not just Mads Mikkelsen carrying it. They function like they've been old friends for years. It's just when Mads actually is unleashed, so to speak, as Martin, in where he not just becomes belligerent, but just becomes free, it is a very interesting spectacle to watch. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, he goes from so many ranges of emotions because of everything that's happening in the moment, or everything that happened in the past that we don't even get to see or know what the implications were. And also, he gets dropped a lot of bombs. There's a lot of things that hit him that honestly a lot of people would have had a reaction regardless if they were, you know, belligerent or dealing with substance abuse or not. Like, I don't know how certain people would function in the circumstance, but Mads performs it excellently, and I think that they all as a whole work very well. The soundtrack and the score, it works for their personalities, is the best way I can kind of put it. It does very much so feel like this was designed to show you their world, their atmosphere, what they're trying to change, and the detriment of what that actually really means. And I think that is one of the amazing art forms of this film that is hard to come by. It's a very interesting foreign film. It is definitely one of the better foreign films I've seen this year, and I would recommend you at least check it out once. Do know that there is a lot of substance abuse. There is a lot of language. There's a lot of violent possible situations. And also there's a lot of other things that I can't say. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you have not seen it, let me know when you do, and I'll talk to you more about it. Keep it locked. JVS Wing will stop. And this is my review number. I would rest this at an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. All right. Peace, guys.